Angus Young, how you doing?
Good, Becko.
The Offspring.
How's it going, Becko?
Dave Grohl, how you going, mate?
Good, man.
Pete, it's been a long time coming.
Oh, Becko, hasn't it indeed?
We go inside the dressing room, speak to the biggest names in music,
Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones.
and crack open their esky.
That's exactly how I imagined you, by the way, sitting opposite me with a vodka and orange.
You're a discerning chap. This is The Rider.
Hey, it's Becko. Welcome back to The Rider. Last week, it was a very interesting guy we've all kind of grown up with on the festival scene. He's gone through many challenges over the years. He's even discovered God recently, 360. If you want to go back and check out that chat, you can go right now to Spotify or Apple, download it now. But this week on The Rider...
Hey, we're 5 Seconds of Summer.
Remember the words you told me, love me till the day I die.
5 Seconds of Summer.
I was just at a 5 Seconds of Summer concert. I was just there.
Lord, say you want it, and I'm just a dead man walking tonight.
I love 5 Seconds of Summer. Their music videos are always so good.
Well, after 14 years of 5 Seconds of Summer, Calum Hood is back for his first solo album. Order, Chaos, Order. Some incredible collaborations on this album. It is out now on Spotify. Five Seconds of Summer's Calum Hood joins us on The Rider this week. G'day, Calum. How are you?
How's it going, Chris?
I'm good. Mate, congratulations. This has not just been an overnight thing. You've been working towards this for a long time.
Yeah, for about 2.5 years now. So it's been in the wheelhouse for a minute.
It's also a big change for you. Like, this is you going out. You haven't got the other blokes around you. You're doing it completely exposed, on your own and vulnerable.
Yeah, it's like if I went to my Year 12 formal, if I repeated Year 12 and went to it again, but by myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a little bit lonelier, but yeah, still fun nonetheless.
Was it a scary step getting into the studio and getting the ball rolling? Because I'm assuming there's a few false starts when you're writing new music and you haven't got the other guys to bounce off. It's usually you alone somewhere. Did you go somewhere to write? Completely out of your comfort zone?
I mean, most of it was recorded in Silver Lake.
Yeah.
In Los Angeles. At Jackson Phillips's, who's produced a lot of the album at his home studio. And then most of it was written in also my house. So not too many kind of, taking a trip up to, a mountain house or something. It was still pretty much based in LA.
You got to take advantage of those tax-deductible trips, though. So, just go to the Caribbean, damn it, and write some music.
Yeah.
But you're saying you did have a number of songs written with Daywave. So was it about 7 songs in the end you both worked together on?
Yeah, 7 songs. I mean, we worked up to maybe 30 songs together, and then whittled it down to about 7.
And it always helps to have someone to work with, because that's the thing. You've come from that background where you got a whole band and a whole production team doing that. Did that really spark something for you?
Yeah, I mean, I had 12 songs that I sent to Daywave, and he said maybe we should write together, and we did that as well. And then once we wrote together, I was like, oh, okay, this is really insightful for me, because it opened up a new door in terms of what was possible for what Calum Hood could be as an artist. Especially the first time around, I kind of had no real idea of what it was going to be in its final form. It could have been so many other things, but that's when I started to get really excited about the possibility of it turning into like an actual thing. So he really helped me to kind of unlock that part within myself that was like, oh yeah, this is really this is really happening.
And then you got, all the songs that don't always make the cut and end up on the cutting room floor. You can save those for maybe a B-side later on. But mate, it's pretty phenomenal when you think about it, though. Like you guys, as a band, Five Sauce started 2011, and Western Sydney, and I was living in the West as well back then, and it must have been a phenomenal change to go from there to living in LA. And, buying your first house over there. Is that right? Like, was that your first house you bought?
Yeah, my first place I got was over here. It was weird. I was actually talking to a friend today, and they were like, "Where would you want to settle down?" And I was like, "You know what? Like, I could definitely see myself going back to the West. I don't know how differently it looks now, but there's definitely. I mean, I love Western Sydney. Like, I felt so comfortable there. I didn't really picture a future where I wasn't there, honestly. But it's led me over here, and I love it over here. And maybe I'll reconnect with the West one day.
I would take LA for the moment, though, because it is such a fun, vibrant place. Silver Lake as well. Like I'm not surprised Daywave lives in that area, because Silver Lake is a real sort of, it's a real sort of cultural hub, that area. A lot of arty people and great musicians. Between now and the start of that project, did your old bandmates, did they have anything to say or any advice, or did you completely go this alone and didn't tell them much about it?
I showed them pretty late on, just because I wanted them to hear the songs in their final kind of evolution. I wanted to show them the final product, just because I really respect their opinion, and I wanted them to hear the best version of what the songs were. But yeah, no, we weren't. I don't think anyone's been involved in each other's solo releases too much. Me and Michael wrote his first single together, which was really cool. But other than that,
well, that's the thing. I would probably hold it back as well. Just wait until I got my very best work, rather than setting a couple of false starts, and then you become the guy who's like, he almost put out a solo album. But mate, it is such a huge move, though, and everyone is literally cheering for you. And I know that the fans are very excited in the Five Sauce community as well. Have you got plans to go on the road for a bit?
Not currently. No, my plan was to just kind of release the album. I'll see as many people as I can during kind of this cycle from, this is the last month of it kind of rolling out. So I think I'll see a lot of people within the month, and then it's back to Five Sauce World for me.
All great musos have done that. They've gone and done a little solo project just to retrain the brain, see what you can do out on your own. It is being vulnerable, and certainly this album comes out with some very vulnerable lyrics. I mean, the opening single, when you just press play on it, it's the first moment, I've heard it, the fans have heard it, they hear you going full deep into a breakup song. Yeah,
I think it's like, it's an honest part of myself, which is like one of the biggest reasons why I chose it to be first. I think it just kind of taps into how conversations go inside my head to myself, recalling certain moments over my life, and that moment in particular was a deep one for me, and so there were a lot of kind of ways that I could kind of approach it, but the more conversational approach really felt most natural.
Was it pretty exciting when people started texting you from back home, hearing the song for the first time, particularly, on stations like Triple J particularly? You must be pretty proud that that's been well received so far.
Yeah, definitely. There's not too much expectation on it. I didn't want to put too much pressure on it, but it's like, it's really cool to be able to, get that sort of reception, especially from Australia and from Australians as well. Like, it feels like if it was to connect anywhere, I'd want it to be back home. But yeah, I've gotten a lot of sweet messages from a lot of different people. And yeah, it's been really cool.
Yeah, it's sort of a lot of guys who've done the same thing. They've often sort of gone by a stage name. So they truly don't get any judgment, and people just hear the song and judge it on that. Remember, Dave Grohl, as Foo Fighters, he didn't want to be known as the guy from Nirvana.
He doesn't have to worry.
He doesn't have to worry about that. Living where you are, do you see guys like that sort of wandering around down at the supermarket?
Not as often as I'd probably like to see Dave at the supermarket, I'll be honest. But people kind of, it's a really creative ecosystem here. So there's always people kind of circling about, and I think that's one of the best parts about being in LA is there's a lot of opportunity to collaborate with, some great artists and in whatever medium that they do. But I did meet Dave maybe an Aerosmith gig. I met him backstage. My friend played pool with him. And so there are those kinds of stories where you come in contact with these kind of angelic beings who you don't think are real. Yeah.
But as you said, that's kind of the reason why you do base yourself somewhere. Like Nashville's become a real centre. It's now just where all the great musicians go. Aussies move there for 6 months, record an album, but they do it purely to be around those great people who can jump on and record a song with you. And it could be a hit, it could be a miss, who knows?
Yeah, Nashville has some of the greatest songwriters in pop or country or whatever genre. And same with LA. It's just like a lot of amazing Australian songwriters too are out here.
What do you listen to before you start writing and even before you start recording? Are there certain sort of bands you go back to and go, okay, that might just start something, might trigger something? Is it sad music? Is it up music? Is it something that's a favorite?
Yeah, I mean, I always gravitate towards the more sadder music, I guess, on the spectrum. I like songs that kind of are a little bit more existential, just because feeling those things so deeply make me feel pretty human. They make me like re-actualize things in my life, which I appreciate. But I was listening to a lot of Interpol. I was listening to a lot of the Radio Department, the Magnetic Fields, LCD Sound System, and yeah, a lot of those great kind of powerhouses.
I'm going to steal some of these and put them in my Spotify playlist to go back to later on. It is true, though. Like they always say that the poet needs the pain, and that can often take you somewhere. And some people, as songwriters, they literally make up a bad experience. Like it could be a horrible breakup, and they literally just create this thing in their head so they can write about it.
Well, this album was pretty much all from personal experiences. They're just kind of like stories over the last, 29 years of my life. But I kind of just waited until I was at an age where I could properly articulate them to a place where I felt really comfortable with how I was kind of portraying the concepts. But there's also a song called Streetwise that's about it's about a documentary called Streetwise, and it's these homeless. I guess homeless is the wrong word, but these 12-year-old kids who have gone kind of off the grid and they live their life on the streets. So I wrote about that documentary. So heavily influenced by, film and visual aspects too. But yeah, sometimes, a story is a story. So whether it's fiction or nonfiction.
Yeah. Were there any songs left over from previous sort of songs you might have actually written for Five Sauce and you put away in a folder and come back to later on, or at least to spark something? Or were they pretty much all fresh when you started sort of working with Daywave?
They're all pretty fresh. I mean, I think at this moment, just for clarity's sake, in my mind, it's easier just to kind of separate them both so they can kind of live in their own worlds. And then when I'm in Five Sauce world, all I'm thinking about is the band and writing for the band and putting my energy towards that. And then when I'm with my stuff, I can do the same, but for my stuff. Maybe there's a world where they'll kind of meld together and they can just kind of coexist together. But for right now, it's just like easier for me to to think about it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's inevitable it's going to come up. It's probably the last thing on your mind is talking about that. On something completely different, I didn't realize you could have been a professional soccer player. Back in the day, mate.
It's like the game of whispers where it just slowly becomes something else. I think
Yeah.
it's being very glamorized, this kind of story. But I mean, I used to play football, like that was kind of my first love. And when I found music, that was kind of like, the cruel mistress that comes in and steals your heart away. And from then on, it was just all music. It was, I just kind of submitted to it.
Were your family supportive initially as a young bloke joining a band? Were they right behind you, or just mum doing what mum normally does and says, "Hey, I wouldn't put all my eggs into that basket"?
I mean, I think there are a bit of both, as probably, a parent should probably have some level of concern if if your kid's going, oh, I want to be in a band and there's no fans and it's just us mucking about and we're skipping school. And I think there's going to be a level of concern. But apart from that, once they started coming to the first couple of shows, I think they realized that this was something that we were all pretty passionate about, and they kind of let us kind of guide our own career.
I think that's only fair. I mean, if your first album goes number one in something like 14 or 15 countries, that's pretty much the moment where you think, okay, I think I've got a license to at least run with this and see where it goes. But what was the moment where you finally thought, okay, I'm okay with this?
Look, if I'm honest with you, it's from the very start.
Yeah,
it's from the very start. And that's probably the reason why it worked. Is like there was no backup, there was no doubt. There was only one goal, and it was just to be a band and to be a great band. And we're lucky enough that it manifested itself into just that. Look, and also another thing is probably now is like we're still a band, which is, that's probably our greatest achievement.
Yeah, well, it is. It is. That's the thing. Like 5 albums plus your solo one about to be released, and there are people who just give anything to be able to have that as a job. There must be some people from growing up who I think all people who are famous have a moment where they're like, I showed that person, that person at school who bullied me, or that school teacher, or that mentor, or whatever, and you're up on stage and you see them in the crowd. That's the fantasy.
Yeah. I was just literally thinking, I was like, maybe that could be in a movie that we make at one point. Look, I haven't had a moment that savored that well yet, but maybe I gotta hit a couple primary school bullies up.
Yeah. How did the family cope, by the way? Being in Western Sydney, and all of a sudden, I'm assuming people are ringing a home phone or rocking up at the front door even. That would have been pretty confronting at times, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think I've been pretty lucky that there hasn't been too many scary moments, especially with my family's privacy. There's probably been a couple of times, though, where it got a bit intense, but things are really calmed down now as well. I think back in the day, it was pretty intense. But you just kind of have to learn to live with it and learn to set boundaries for yourself. There's definitely a time where I stepped away from social media a little bit larger than I have in the past. And that was just to kind of like re-equilibrate, whatever that word is, to do that for myself and just, find my medium point again.
And many artists have gone through the same sort of dilemmas at the beginning, particularly is setting those boundaries when you're out having dinner, and I'm sure you get hassled from time to time. But that's one thing about being in LA; you can be reasonably anonymous.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I'm getting to a point where the band's been around for a while. Anyone that comes up to say hi, I'm like, thank God people
Yes.
still like are recognizing us. So that's a good thing in my book.
That is true. That is true. Now you've done this and you're waiting in anticipation to get it out there and the record company have got great expectations as they do and as you would too, because I think we're our greatest critics. Are you thinking ahead to even some people you want to work with next? Is there anyone on your list, Australian artists even, who you respect and you thought, you know what, I would like to maybe do a song with them?
Ooh, I mean, an artist from Australia right now that I'm really loving is Royal Otis. I just think it feels really genuine, feels really pure. And the guys just seem like just really sweet guys.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool that they've been kind of opened up to the rest of the world, and I hope those guys go really far.
Did you go to the Troubadour show? Because I saw they played the Troubadour a bit over a week ago, and I had a proud Aussie moment where I'm like, oh, look, any Australian band to play the Troubadour, that's pretty cool.
Oh, amazing. I didn't go there. I keep missing their shows. I'm always somewhere else for some reason. They're avoiding me. I don't know why. But yeah, I'd love to go and see them live.
So going back to the album, what are your favourite tracks on that one? Is it straight up the opening single, or is that your standout that which you straight away went, that has to be the opening track?
Yeah, I mean the first one I really truly loved and wanted it to be the first one that came out. And then the one that's out now that we just put out, Call Me When You Know Better, is definitely a favorite for sure. The last song on the album, called Three of Swords, I think is a beautiful memento, and Sunsetter as well, I think is a really nice song. But yeah, if people want to check it out, then
were there any moments where you sort of did miss the other guys while you were in the studio, where you sort of wanted, you kind of wish you by default wanted to share a moment and they weren't there?
I mean, yeah, constantly. I think like they're some of the best songwriters I've ever worked with ever. So they were they were a big missing puzzle piece, but I think it's just important for me to learn how to operate with them so I can bring my best to the table when we are working together. But yeah, I mean, we also, you laugh so much in the studio too. Like it's really not like working most of the time. So the short answer is yes, I did miss them.
Calum, it is great to speak to you, and best of luck for this. And it is a big step, and everyone's really backing you in and supporting you. So best of luck for the next few months.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for your time, man.
What an absolute honour catching up with Calum Hood. What a great guy. It's so good to have Aussies overseas. Absolutely killing it. His new album, Order Chaos Order, is out now. And as he said, back to duties with 5 Seconds of Summer very soon as well. Make sure you give the Rider Pod a follow on Instagram. Just search for the Rider Pod. We'll catch you back again soon. This is the Rider with Becko.